والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, we continue our series of lectures on the topic of Iman, or faith, or belief in Islam. We are going to the second chapter, Nubuwwah, and today is our lesson number 13. It's our belief in miracles and in infallibility of the prophets. درسنا اليوم شنو؟ عقيدتنا في المعجزة وفي عصمة الأنبياء. The previous lesson we were talking about the concept of the prophecy. درسنا السابق تكلمنا في الموضوع نبوة، مفهوم النبوة. And naturally today we are taking it one step further, and we will be talking about the infallibility of the prophets and about the miracles of the prophets. Yeah? So, first we will talk about the miracle that it's a blessing. Then we will classify unusual events. These events that we call خارق العادة, unusual events. We are going to classify them. تصنيف الخارق العادة. Then we'll look into miracles as they correspond to their respective times. Then we talk about infallibility of the prophets. We prove infallibility of the prophets. And we show that prophets are different human beings. Yes, they are human beings just us, but they are very different to us. And that shouldn't take more than 15 minutes altogether, yeah? Okay. First and foremost, miracles are blessings. نقول شنو؟ نقول بالذي نبوة هي لطف. Our belief in miracles of prophet. We said that prophecy is a mercy and blessing. The fact that we have a prophet among us, this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His mercy upon us. The part of this mercy and blessing is for a prophet to present a miracle. هذا جزء من اللطف من النبوة بالذي هو النبي يقدمنا بشنو؟ بالمعجزة. Why? Because by that he makes for us to easier to accept the prophet. The miracle has to consist of something unusual, extraordinary, that no human can normally do. As a matter of fact, it has been so extraordinary that we would be absolutely sure that this is Allah's will. So no human can do that. But are there various events of unusual nature? إذا نشوف في هذا الموضوع قلنا شنو؟ يعني معجزة شيء خارق العادة. هل هناك أشياء الذي هو خارق العادة؟ هل كلهم معجزات? Is any unusual event that we see? Is everything miracle? Sometimes we see something say, that's a miracle. مرات نشوف شيء غير عادي نقول هذا معجزة والله. هو في طريق الكلام يعني. بس شنو هو معجزة؟ So, here we talk about the classification of unusual events. تصنيف الخارق العادة. خارق العادة ثلاثة أنواع. Unusual events that we come across, there are of three types. First and foremost, the most important one is the miracle given to the prophets. معجزة الذي يؤتى إلى الأنبياء. هذا النوع الأول. النوع الثاني كرامة. Is given to أولياء Allah, to the friends of Allah. Something unusual they can show. Number three, damnation. تنزل. It's given by Allah. Yes, it's unusual. Yet its ability, it's a power, but it's given by Allah to His enemies. So the mu'jiza, as Isa alayhi salam presented, as Musa alayhi salam presented, he presents something, he said, look, if I do that, I'm a prophet. Karama, some friend of Allah, they can move around, they can do something, they can have an unusual spiritual power or some other powers. Yeah, they are not prophets, nevertheless they present them. And tanazzul, we can see some people, they don't believe in Allah, nevertheless they don't sleep for hours, they can run around, fly around, I don't know, stop their heart, start there, something else, you know. All sorts of events, we can observe that. They do that. Is it Allah giving gift? Yes, it's Allah giving gift. How come Allah gives that to somebody who doesn't believe? Hey, Allah gives many things to some people that don't believe in Him. He gives that. Somebody is sitting in a cave for 30 years asking, Ya Rabbi, I'm looking for one thing. I just want to be able to fly 50 centimeters above the ground, you know, just to lift myself without touching the ground. Allah says, okay, here you are, here you are. Here. If you ask for something 30 years, Allah gives that to you. Miracles are different. How they are different? Because when Prophet produces one, he declares that this is unusual event, is produced at this particular moment of time to support his claim of prophecy. When he produces that, he says, look, Ya Rabbi, if I'm your prophet, please do it this way. Sun comes from east, you started from west. And next thing you see sun coming from west, or whatever, Nile flying backwards, or whatever, you know. But Prophet specifically declares, he says, if I'm your prophet, please support my claim, show that to people. So in that term, miracle is different. Other than that, it's the same, it's something unusual. Hence, it becomes an obvious evidence in support of the prophecy, proof and blessing from Allah. ولذلك لأن إذا النبي يقدم معجزة ويقول يا ربي إذا أنا نبيك فتسوي هذا هكذا. إذا مش لازم نكمل هذا.
لا واصل
أنا عندي 15 درجة.
إي واصل تفضل. واصل تفضل.
يقول إذا أنا نبيك والله يسوي هكذا. وشنو؟ He supports the evidence that this is the Prophet. Another interesting thing about miracles, that miracles, as usually as we have seen them in history, they correspond to their times. شلون؟ مثلا زين. So Musa alayhi salam, he came with what? With the miracle of to defeat the magic, which was widespread at his time. So he came with a miracle corresponding to his time. بعدين شنو شفنا عيسى عليه السلام جاء with miracle شنو؟ Miracle of medicine. Why? Because medicine was developed so much in his own time. Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam came with the miracle of Quran. Literature was so developed at his time. People would hang their poetry on the doors of Kaaba, and they respected literature so much. No respect to literature these days anyway. So today, if Prophet was going to come today, probably he would come with some super iPhone or something like this. Huh? You would expect. So Quran, interesting thing about the Quran, and in what sense Quran is very, very different, that Quran still lives among us. And it still withholds as a miracle. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا. What say Allah? If you cannot produce at least one line which would be in its literature as beautiful as Quran or as meaningful as Quran, وإن لم تفعلوا, if you cannot produce, وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, you never will be able to produce. So this is a challenge. Allah is sending this challenge to the world, saying, look, if you have any doubt in the power of Quran, in the origin of Quran, try to produce one line, and Quran has about 10,000 lines or 9,000 lines, whatever. Try to produce one line, and if you cannot do, and you will never be able to do that. And don't you think, brothers, that there haven't been effort to try and produce a line, that there haven't been money spent to try and produce a line? Yes, there have, but nobody could ever produce a single line. This is the biggest living evidence of the power of Quran. Now, a few more minutes on infallibility of the prophets. So we'll talk about the mu'jiza. Now we're talking about Ismat al-Anbiya. We believe that the prophets are infallible, all of them, unconditionally. There is no condition to their infallibility. Everybody believes in that, but some religions believe differently. Even within Islam, some people understand infallibility differently. شنو هو معصوم نبي؟ شنو معناه معصوم? When he runs away or when he does seemingly some mistakes, what does that mean? So the way we Shia believe in that, we say infallibility, the state of being free of three things. يعني معصوم يعني خالي من ثلاثة أشياء. أولا sins, big or small. ثاني mistakes, خطأ. Third, forgetfulness, نسيان. يعني إنفاض معصوم في عقيدتنا مو فقط شو اسمه خالي من كبائر والصغائر، من خطأ والزوال ومن شو اسمه من نسيان. ماكو هاي في الأنبياء. زين. The next question is, okay, fair enough, we believe in it, but do we have a proof? هل هناك إثبات؟ Yes, we say we have a proof, and proof is of a logical nature. ثبوتنا هنا في هذه النقطة ثبوتنا عقلي. هناك لازم شوية تركزوا في التركيز في 2 minutes حتى هذه النقطة مهمة. Just pay attention here for 2 minutes, and we're finishing here because I think that's an important point. Proof is of logical nature, of mathematical nature. Usually we prove mathematical theorems, we prove in that way, in engineering or in mathematical schools. We say, let us imagine that it is possible for a prophet to make a mistake, or to forget something, or to confuse something. He got a message, he was coming to tell me do that, and then he forgot, confused, said, don't do that. Or he was coming to tell me, please sit there. He confused and said, please sit there. A mistake. Let us imagine that prophet can do that. So in that case, if he does that, we have two options. Either we obey him to his wrong message, or we disobey him. Don't accept his message, because it's wrong. If we have to obey him, that would require an obligation to do wrong from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إذا نحن مجبورين زين معناه الله سبحانه وتعالى جاء يجبرنا على خطأ وسبحانه وتعالى. Allah would never oblige us to do something wrong. And if we don't have to obey him, the second option, so we either have to obey him or don't obey him. If we don't have to obey him, then I can say, look, listen, I'm not sure, to be honest with you now. You are telling me, you are giving me 100 messages. I'm not sure which one of them is wrong. As a matter of fact, every one of them can be wrong, or some of them could be wrong. So I'm just keep them. I'm okay. So I don't have to obey. And how is Allah is going to punish me then in the Yawm al-Akhirah? So it becomes impossible for Allah to punish me. If He does punish me, and we know that Allah will punish us for not obeying the Prophet, if He does punish me, then He is unfair. Then He is unjust. Well, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't do that. So if Prophet committed sins or made mistakes, they would become just like us. Anything they command, we would say, listen, you could be right, you could be wrong, you could be mistaken, you could have forgotten, you could have confused. Therefore, I'm not doing that. This would defeat the purpose of the message and the messenger. This would defeat the very purpose of the message and the messenger. Hence, we can safely conclude that every messenger sent with a message has to be free of sins, mistake, or forgetfulness. Yeah? As long as he's on the job, you know? So, that's basically it. Any questions?